So today is October 28th. It is just about 5:30 and I just did my scan here at the gym, at my primary gym. And I did it so to put numbers and to put everything factually because I have this all written down. October 28th, 2025 at 5:13 p.m. And skeletal muscle mass was at 27.7. Total body water, 36.5. Body fat, I'm doing kilograms, so instead of doing a percentage, I'd rather have a more accurate depiction of weight, like an actual measurement instead of just a percentage. So body fat is at 14.5 kilograms, and then weight is at 64.4, which is a little bit on the higher side because last week I was at 62 with my cycle. So I'm not sure what's going on except for I have more water, and also the aspect of I had 2 coffees and ground chicken this morning. So I didn't come and do the body scan fasted. This body scan in particular has been done after breakfast. I actually ended up having 2 coffees and then ground chicken with tomato sauce. And then I had cantaloupe and raspberries. And then I had 2 extra liters of water. So I'm very nicely hydrated. And my predictions for tomorrow. So tomorrow's my DEXA scan at around 9 o'clock in the morning. My prediction, here they are. I think skeletal muscle mass is probably at 20. I actually think it might be higher than it estimates here. And I don't know why, I just have this gut feeling that it could be slightly higher, but I also think my body fat is higher. So I'm gonna estimate skeletal muscle mass is at 25 kilograms. That's my estimation. And then I do believe that my body fat in terms of kilograms is at about 16 kilograms. I think it's higher than the scale says. Or maybe, I think it's higher. I think I've seen myself leaner. But then again, I've never done a DEXA scan. And then my weight most likely will be at 64 tomorrow. Based on just the weigh-ins that I've been doing. And I'm nervous. I'm genuinely nervous because the DEXA scan is more accurate. I'm not going to say it's perfect because again, there's so many things that influence this, from the sleep, so how well I sleep tonight, and I'm going to go to bed earlier, to my stress levels. My stress levels have been high, which actually makes sense in terms of my weight. So I do think I'm retaining more water than normal because, especially on Monday, I was running around doing everything. And if you've ever been in a foreign country, filing documents and government and going to authorities, it's not easy. And what other things can influence? So tomorrow I'm going to go fasted. I'm going to eat dinner tonight, and it's just going to be 1 chicken breast and some veggies. I'm not going to even have carbs. I'm just going to keep it pretty light because I did have a nice carb load this past weekend, and I think that I'm still pretty good when it comes to water retention, and I think I'm retaining more. I'm scared because obviously it's going to be more accurate, and it's not the scale that I normally go on, right? This is just a DEXA scan, and I'm going to try and optimize for everything. And the important thing is not so much the numbers, although I'm really curious to know, right? That's how much am I in terms of body fat and muscle and everything. But I'm even more curious to see where I can be in the 35 days that we're doing this. So I already got a head start because I've already been doing this for 2 days. I'm really curious to see what I can achieve in 30 days if I'm extremely consistent. And we're talking about, and here's what I mean by consistency. I'm not talking about perfection because there's no such thing. I'm a human being. There are going to be difficult days. There are going to be days that I don't sleep. And there are going to be days that I crave sugar. There are going to be days that I crave some sort of a dessert, and I'm going to share those with you. However, I'm going to make those a separate video because if you are watching me, if you follow me, if you want to be like me, then I want to set you up for success. And when you see somebody eating dessert, and if you have a sweet tooth, you will crave it. Psychologically, that's just how we're wired. We see something we know that gives us a boost of dopamine. It's high in sugar, it's high in fat. Think about all your favorite desserts. If you're a sweet tooth, they're always extremely high in refined sugar, in refined oils. They usually have a lot of like some sort of sunflower oil or canola oil, things like that. And then they're high in fat. And that's just your body's survival mechanism. And also another thing is the memories. So memories can be tied to food. If we were robotic, then we'd be eating like bunny rabbits. We'd be eating salads and fruits and things like that. But we're not. We have a frontal cortex that helps us with memory and processing and thinking. Actually, your hippocampus is in charge of memory. The frontal cortex is in charge of decision making and making sure that we make the right decisions, which is why the impulses, this frontal cortex overrides those impulses. If you see me eat dessert and you have a sweet tooth and you're trying to be in the best shape possible, that is the worst thing that I could do to you, is show you the dessert that I'm eating, because then you will crave it and you'll want it, and then you'll also think, oh, it's okay. It is always okay. It is always okay to eat dessert. That is not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do here is say, eat those indulgences in moderation. So I'm keeping those indulgences on separate videos in a separate segment, because if you go to that video, you know that you're gonna see sugar. And if you're on a diet or you're trying to get better, that is not the best for you. And I literally have 2 separate Instagram accounts, one for food and one for my Seed a Dream homepage. The one for food, I know the moment I enter, there's gonna be delicious recipes and I'm gonna get hungry. So always think beforehand, and that is why I'm gonna switch the videos with food and desserts to a separate video. I won't include that in my day-to-day. So I will have indulgences. I will share those with you. That way I give you a perspective of what that means and how I indulge. I don't normally calculate when I'm gonna do those indulgences. I have those days where I'm like, I need a little bit of a boost and I need food for the soul. So with my clients, I call what we would technically call unhealthy foods. I don't believe in that. Take that out of your vocabulary. It's called an indulgence or food for the soul. And I always think about like my grandmother's cooking, my mother's cooking. My grandmother used to make this thing called strukla, and she's Slovenian. So it was like 4 sticks of butter and a bunch of bread and eggs, and it was wrapped up in like a pasta. It was so delicious, but it's a lot of butter. And butter is delicious. And the reason I'm talking about food for the soul and indulgences is the psychology of how you think about food can influence whether or not you fall off track, whether or not you're restrictive with yourself, and we try not to be restrictive. And the vocabulary of this is healthy, this is unhealthy, oh, I ate something super unhealthy, that's gonna set you up to fail, because these foods are needed in your diet and they shouldn't have a negative connotation to them. And that is specifically it. The negative connotation, the negative association will derail you. So when I have these indulgences and these foods for the soul, it's gonna happen. I'm a human being, I love food, I'm a foodie, but I also am a trainer and I'm a nutritionist, and I want to show you what you can do if you're consistent and persistent in losing fat and building muscle. And I'm not talking about perfection, because there will be days where things don't go right. And I don't plan my indulgences because I don't feel like you should. But I do ask myself questions, just like I do with my clients. I ask myself, is this emotional? Am I stress eating? If I'm in a negative headspace, I do not indulge, period. If I'm in a negative headspace, I go to the gym. I call my mom or my dad or my brother or a friend. I go outside, I go for a walk. I play with my dog, my puppy, my 16-year-old puppy. I draw, I like to draw a lot. I get out of the kitchen and get out of my house. Number one thing, like if I know I'm stressed and I'm anxious and I want to stress eat, I get out of the house and I'm not near food. When I'm in a good headspace and I'm like, I would really like a cheesecake, or I would really like some chocolate, then I have that chocolate. And I sit down in a nice environment, kind of like what I am doing right now, and I enjoy that chocolate mousse or whatever it might be. There's also, so there are a couple things. I'm gonna try to stick to single ingredient foods. That means a lot of zucchini, a lot of red bell peppers, a lot of chicken, a lot of turkey, a lot of onions and cherry tomatoes and avocado. I love avocado. I will try to stick to very low processed or like no processed food, with the exception of lactose-free milk. I like my lactose-free milk. Coffee, whether that's caffeinated or decaf. And lastly, my protein powder. So my chocolate whey isolate protein powder for my protein saves me a lot of times from indulging or overindulging in chocolate. And whey isolate goes well with my stomach. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't bother me. And it's isolate, so it's been stripped of the lactose component. And it's high in protein, so it helps me with the protein. What else can I tell you? I'm not a salty person, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. I will add seasonings to things. And I meal prep, so I'll walk you through meal prepping and what I do with that. It's not going to be easy. And there will be videos that I make about being angry or being frustrated and just showing you the real raw emotions. The key is to try and regulate and to just do the best that you can. It's not about perfection. I am a perfectionist, so this is like a challenge because I always go into these knowing full well I shouldn't be super duper into the details. And actually, I think the fact that my DEXA didn't work out on Monday is a blessing, because then I have to be more flexible. And then also, I force myself to make up a plan as I go, which actually sometimes ends up being the best, because you're just trying to be the best that you can. That's what matters. It's not about whether or not I did what I said I would do, although it does matter that I tried my best. I like this quote. It says, "You are not what you say you will do. You are what you do," right? It's the actions that you take. I'm excited for tomorrow, but I'm also slightly scared. So those are my predictions. What are your predictions? What are you thinking about? I'll see you soon.